So ecstatic epilepsy is a rare form of epilepsy in which people feel at the beginning of the seizures an amazing feeling of fullness and bliss.
You wanted to pin down the cause of these auras. So how did you go about pinning down what area of the brain was involved?
I tried to understand which region could be able to be at the origin of the panel of symptoms of the ecstatic experience, so the physical well-being, the high positive emotion, the increased self-awareness. Looking at the literature, I came across the insula. The insula is a deep cortical structure in the brain, which is in the background of the temporal lobe and the frontal lobe on each side of the brain. And I got to this region because it's the region in which the internal signals from the inside of our body arrive. So all the signals from the heart, the respiratory system, the stomach, bladder, hormones, comes to this posterior part of the insula. And it seems that there is an integration of these internal bodily signals within the insula. We call these internal signals interoception. It's the physiological state of the body. And it is integrated with external signals and more cognitive information within the insula from the posterior part till the anterior part. And according to some researchers, it gives rise in the anterior part of the insula to an ultimate representation as feelings or emotions. You can have a succession of global emotional moments related to the integration of these bodily signals, and this could be at the basis of the sentient self, of the sense of self.
So it's pulling together everything about our body, the state we're in, anything that's wrong, any needs that we might have, sort of that overall just sense of how we're doing right now as a self.
Yes, because the integration of all the bodily signals in the context of external signals give our sense of comfort or discomfort. The interaction between our body and the external world is constant. It's always a loop. We feel through our body, and we see the external world also through our body. So yes, it's a key structure for the sentient self. Yeah.
So it's not just a pure representation of the body, it's kind of our body in the world, how we're relating to our environment.
I think so, yes, exactly.
You found the anterior insula in the literature as a good candidate of this is the sort of thing that could be creating this effect. So.
Yes, and then I had the chance to have arguments supporting this. First, it was some nuclear imaging exams performed in some patients. With nuclear imaging, I could see that during ecstatic seizures, there was an increased blood flow in the anterior insula. So this was a support for this hypothesis. And later, I got stronger support through the exploration with intracerebral electrodes in patients with drug-resistant epilepsy who went through evaluation of their epilepsy to be
So you're putting electrodes into their brains?
Yes, to try to identify exactly the region at the origin of the epilepsy.
So you stimulate that region to see if you can then recreate the seizure?
First, we record some spontaneous seizures, and in some patients, we could see that at the time of the ecstatic phenomenon, there was a propagation of the discharge in the anterior insula. And then the stimulations of the regions is part also of the evaluation. And we could reproduce the ecstatic phenomenon through the stimulation of the electrode within the anterior insula. We reproduce the ecstatic phenomenon.
Wow, so you've got the cause and effect there. You see that part of the brain starting with this hyperactivity of the seizure, or you can trigger that and you see you get the ecstatic experience.
Yes, and we can reproduce this, while if we stimulate other electrodes, we cannot reproduce any ecstatic phenomenon. And the interesting thing is that we could also induce an ecstatic phenomenon in several patients who did not have an ecstatic form of epilepsy, who had other form of epilepsy, of focal epilepsy, who do not have an altered brain network predisposed to have such ecstatic experiences. So this is also an important thing to be able to induce such phenomena in patients who never had this in their seizures.
So it's not just something special or weird about the brains of the people who have this type of epilepsy. You can actually trigger this in someone completely different with a different kind of epilepsy.